What originally was supposed to be an interview between me and my source Zoe ends up turning into a conversation where we talk about how our biracial identity not just affects the way society treats us, but also our own families.
Growing up in Chicago was a bit weird because Chicago is really segregated. I think it's known to be. So
Mm-hmm.
in elementary school, I went to school with like people who were really rich and who were basically the majority of the population was white. And then when I went to high school, it was more, I guess, more diverse. It's like compared to my elementary school. So it was kind of funny because I went from being seen as Asian in elementary school to being seen as white in high school. And it was just so weird because it was just based on like who I went to school with. Um,
Yeah.
that on top of like other problems that people usually go through in school and just life in general was something that I just really didn't want to deal with, but you don't really have a choice. I don't know. I think maybe you understand too. A lot of people, when they first see you, the first thing they want to know is like what you are, and it's like a
Mm-hmm.
question they have to ask before they can continue on with the conversation. And like a lot of times, like even starting school and stuff, when you like first meet everybody and you icebreakers, people be like, "Oh, what are you?" Because they're just so curious, and it's like
Yeah.
I don't see why it's so important, but yeah.
No, yeah.
So
Um, I totally understand how you feel. Like when you look at me, you must think like, oh, she's just like people automatically think I'm Hispanic. But I grew up with um a Guyanese mother and a Haitian dad, so I'm like South Asian and black, basically. But I totally understand like the what are you question. Sometimes for me specifically, I don't really get that question a lot. Just people just automatically think I'm Hispanic because the part of New York I grew up in is like mainly Hispanics. So um like based on like where you grew up, how did you think that like shaped your experience?
sometimes, I've noticed like going to family reunions and stuff,
Mm-hmm.
the difference based on like what family I'm visiting, you know,
Mm-hmm.
like with my white side of the family, I feel like you can obviously tell like, there's like a sea of like blonde people and then like three like brown haired people and like the whole entire family reunion.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I visit my family in Vietnam and I feel like maybe I blend in a little bit more. Maybe they're a little bit more accepting. It could just be my own perception, but I feel like usually with, I don't know, people who are white, they seem to be a little bit more confused or like a little bit off put by like the Asian that I have. So that's
Mm-hmm.
just what I noticed. But
No, yeah. I mean, like for me, like my older sister, she's a bit darker, so people just think she's black. And for me, they think I'm Hispanic, so it's kind of interesting how like the world treats you because of like how different you look or how like you don't look like this or how you don't look like that. But yeah, like for me, I grew up with just my mom. So growing up in like a Guyanese household, my mom's family, let's just say they're a bit racist against blacks. So we don't really get like they don't treat us the same like they would treat my other cousins who were like fully Guyanese. Um, so it's definitely something like I totally understand that about like your own family like treating you differently. Um, it's sad to
yeah.
think that that's the world we live in. My reporting on multiracialism was a work of journalism, but also it was a part of my journey and learning a little bit more about myself being biracial here in America.